Americans don't trust their government anymore. Not the president, not Congress, not even the FBI. In 1958, nearly 3 out of every 4 Americans said they trusted Washington to do the right thing most of the time. Today, it's less than 1 in 4. Somewhere along the line, something broke. And it didn't just happen overnight. It's been decades in the making. So what went wrong? Why did the most powerful democracy in the world lose faith in itself? To understand how America got here, we have to go back. Back to when trust was the foundation of everything. The 1950s were the age of optimism. Post-war prosperity, new suburbs, white picket fences. The government had just led the nation through the Great Depression and won World War II. When Washington said something, people believed it. Eisenhower's approval ratings hovered around 70%. The media was centralized. 3 TV networks, a few national newspapers, and a shared sense of reality. But underneath that shining surface, something was already shifting. Vietnam. Watergate. These weren't just scandals. They were fractures in the country's belief system. By the mid-1970s, Gallup polls showed trust in government had fallen from 77% to just 36%. For the first time in modern history, Americans began to doubt that their leaders were telling them the truth. And that doubt never really went away. It just evolved into anger, apathy, and division. As the decades went on, the story of trust became the story of betrayal. In the 1980s, President Reagan famously said, "The 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, 'I'm from the government, and I'm here to help.'" It was a joke, but it wasn't really a joke. It reflected a growing sentiment that government was too big, too wasteful, too far removed from ordinary people. Then came the 1990s, the Clinton scandals, the government shutdown of 1995, the Monica Lewinsky affair that consumed national attention. By the end of the decade, Americans were entertained by their leaders, not inspired by them. Politics had become theater. But the early 2000s changed everything again. The attacks on September 11th temporarily reignited unity. For a moment, Americans trusted again. But that trust was tested and shattered when the Iraq War began under false intelligence. Weapons of mass destruction that were never found. Thousands of lives lost. Trillions of dollars spent. By 2006, trust in government fell below 30%, one of the lowest points in history. Then came 2008, the financial crisis. Banks bailed out, families foreclosed, millions lost their homes, while executives walked away with bonuses. Americans watched Wall Street get saved, not Main Street. And that cemented a feeling that hasn't left since. The system isn't broken. It's working exactly as designed. Just not for you.
Social media was supposed to fix that, give people a voice, bring transparency and connection. Instead, it did the opposite. By the mid-2000s, Americans were no longer living in the same reality. Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube became political echo chambers. Algorithms didn't reward truth. They rewarded outrage. And outrage became the new form of civic engagement. Distrust wasn't just political anymore, it was personal. Your neighbor, your coworker, even your family might see a completely different version of America. In 2016, a man who wasn't a politician at all rode that wave of anger into the White House. Donald Trump called Washington the swamp. And millions of Americans believed him, because they already felt betrayed by it. But even that message of rebellion turned into more chaos. By 2021, the U.S. Capitol was under siege, not by a foreign power, but by American citizens themselves. That was the breaking point, the symbol of democracy, attacked by those who no longer believed in it. Trust wasn't just gone, it was reversed. Each side of the political spectrum now believed the other was destroying the country. A Pew Research study in 2023 found that just 16% of Americans trust the federal government. Among Gen Z and millennials,
it's even lower. It's not just about politicians anymore. It's about institutions. The media, the justice system, the intelligence agencies. When the FBI investigated Trump, half the country called it political. When they investigated Biden, the other half said the same. Every fact is now questioned. Every institution doubted. Every election contested. And that distrust has consequences. Fewer people vote. Conspiracy theories spread faster. And America's rivals, from Moscow to Beijing, are quietly smiling. Because the greatest threat to America isn't coming from outside its borders. It's coming from within. Today, government approval ratings swing like stock prices. Up a few points, down a few more. But the trend is clear. Long-term decline. In 2025, Gallup's annual poll showed only 17% of Americans trusted Washington to do what's right. The lowest in modern history. The irony? America spends trillions on defense, but the real battle is for belief. And that's a war no military can fight. Even when the government succeeds in technology, healthcare, or defense, it's met with skepticism. Every decision is framed as corruption. Every policy, propaganda. People used to fear Big Brother. Now, they've become their own surveillance state. Recording, sharing, and judging every move. The problem isn't that Americans don't care anymore. It's that they care too much about too many versions of the truth. So, where does this end? Can trust ever be rebuilt? Some believe it can, through transparency, reform, and accountability. Others say it's too late, that the social fabric is already torn beyond repair. But maybe the real solution isn't about politics at all. Maybe it's about rebuilding faith, not in institutions, but in each other. Because governments rise and fall, leaders come and go. But trust, once it's gone, is almost impossible to get back. Make no mistake, America is the underdog here, trying to rebuild something that's been lost for decades. Just like us, trying to hit 1,000 subscribers. So if you believe trust can be rebuilt, even one story at a time, hit that subscribe button. Because this isn't the end of the story.